Greetings. Greetings, Black Bruja. You got up in here first today. How you been? Hey sis, it's Keys. That's my divine sister from the great mother, the other mother. I love y'all. Hi, Mr. Ryan Bay. How are you? You done corrected Ashe. It's been a while. Y'all might want to take notes. I'm gonna go ahead and do the new moon masterclass that I wanted to do, but I was redirected to do it this way because several reasons, but there are definitely energies seeking to block access to this information. And it's very stealthy, insidious. It could probably be happening to you or even coming through you or people around you. And you probably would just chump it up to, oh, that's just how they are. That's just how I am. Give me a few Blue Lotus sips in before we get started. I'm going to channel for y'all. But yeah, you might want to take notes. If you can't take notes, you might want to come back to this when you have time to take notes. I'm telling y'all, this Blue Lotus blend is everything. I don't even know where to start because it's so much. Hopefully my phone does not die because I intend to get all of this out. So welcome if you're new. I'm Khamsin, Khamsin the Oracle, Khamsin the High Priestess, Khamsin the Sound Healer, Khamsin the lover of all people, the lover of all things, Khamsin the Brave, Khamsin the Bold, Khamsin the motherfucking Egyptian wind that blows for 50 days. And that's just me being proud of everything that I have accomplished. Because I want you to feel proud of what you have accomplished. There is a difficulty sometimes feeling proud of what we have accomplished because there are so many other things we're trying to accomplish. And being a spiritual being who is in the middle of a spiritual warfare, it can be really difficult to handle all of your 3D matrix business, keep it in line, and to be able to navigate the fourth dimensional, 5-dimensional, which encompasses the spiritual realm. And this is just the beginning of access to higher dimensions. And what oftentimes happens is our ego, in its attempt to protect us, gets in the way. So we have this belief that if someone is proud of their accomplishments, if they talk about it, they're an ego. And that's not true. But what that does is it keeps us suppressing the greatness inside of us, sacrificing our future, sacrificing our dharma, sacrificing the dreams that we have in hopes of not pissing somebody off, not irritating somebody, in hopes of not being seen as egotistical, in hopes of not being seen as narcissistic, as this new heavy loaded word that's used now, right? It's a lot to learn and it's helpful, it's great, it helped me. I went no contact with my family, one of the hardest things I ever had to do. However, on the other side, narcissism is being weaponized to keep us from owning our greatness. And sometimes when you are going through a spiritual ascension, which means everything that was created through trauma, through suffering, through ego, at the altar of external validation must go. So having altars to do our work is not new. We all have altars. Altars are places where we meet with certain types of consciousness, where we give offerings, where we put our hand out in hopes that in that offering that we will receive what we are praying and petitioning for. Altars are also these other facets of us that were created in the 3D world. This is your mask. We all have them. I got many. I can't even count them. But they're all being created, projected into the simulation through my wonderful ego. Our ego is not the enemy. Our ego is not something that we should seek to kill. You hear the term ego death. Higher consciousness says no, we don't kill the ego. We might give the ego a nap. We might find ways to soothe the ego in a healthy way where it does harm to none, including ourselves, but we're not going to kill the ego. I call it a total nap out. K-N-A-P. The K denoting K as in Kemet, which means darkness. And so you allow yourself to integrate with your shadow self, which empowers these different altars, the avatars that we use to navigate our relationships with ourselves and others. Everything in our reality right now has mostly been created through ego, through force, grinding, hustling, making it happen, chasing. All of those are masculine traits. So when you hear me say that the world is based in patriarchy, what I'm saying is the world has negated the feminine aspect and has attempted to hide her, demonize her, and confuse us about her. And this is a simulated program that also comes up alongside of the ego, because there's a masculine form of the ego and there's a feminine form of the ego. And as I am tapping into this new moon energy, I realized this is another portal event. Maybe one of the most powerful portal events since 8/8. And as you know, I have been leading people through these portals for probably about 7 years. And that 7 is a key number. Keep in mind the 7 years of tribulation. So in the foundation of the patriarchy, the calendar had to be changed, because the calendar from indigenous cultures, ancient cultures who accomplished things, that go that word again, accomplished things we have yet to accomplish, because they were in the accompaniment with spirit. Their calendar system was based on 13 moons in a full year, which denotes 13 months. So we were programmed in the 3D matrix to think that 13 is an unlucky number. It's an evil number. It's bad. And by believing in that, our collective unconsciousness has been used to fuel the program of patriarchy, which is centered around ego, toxic masculinity, scared masculinity. Let's be clear. It's not just toxic. It's scared. I have it. You have it. We have the scared feminine and the scared masculine within each of us. We also have the sacred masculine and sacred feminine within each of us. These are potentials that the collective is now ready to meet. In this journey of going through a spiritual ascension process, there will always be a void process. In the void space, just as with the new moon, it is dark and we cannot see the moon. In that void space, you have a black mirror that is reflecting to you the unknown, the hidden, and the repressed parts of you. So many of us created relationships that were founded in these 3D matrix social constructs based around patriarchy that catered to the male embodiment on the planet as being the heads of the household. Listen to the word heads of the household, not hearts of the household. Because the feminine typically denotes the heart. The heart chakra has a negative polarity, just as Mama Earth does, which is why the ionization, where you can ground with Mother Earth, it is the negative ions that ground you. So how can a male lead a household without the heart? He will not be grounded. He would oftentimes struggle to connect with the heart of himself and those around him. And men have become victims to this social construct. They are not victims, but they were victimized. We have all been victimized. Let's be clear. When I speak about victimization, I speak about systems and programs. When I speak about the male, I'm only speaking about energy. So none of this is personal. This whole Akashic channel message is spiritual. So in the layout in which many of us constructed our lives, now we have entered the void space and we have realized I have been more head than heart. I have made decisions from my head more than my heart. According to the laws of the universe and the law of attraction, you must experience that which you created, even if you created it in unconsciousness. And so the unconsciousness is back. The rooster comes home, and it crows in the morning. Right as the sun is rising, the sun represents consciousness. So we're in a period of higher consciousness. We're in a period of rising in our ability to connect with data that's not just based in our head. Because the heart is calling for us to awaken, which means the void space is the space in which all creation is created. The darkness holds the seed potential for unlimited possibilities beyond our consciousness to wake us up and bring us back into the heart. The disease created by this system makes it difficult for us to hear the heart because we spend most of our time taking vacations in our mind. So it seems. Because we think that if I can figure out a way to fix this, if I can think of a way to resolve this, then my reality will be better. This is the disease of the patriarchy that has affected each and every one of us. You cannot think your way through something that's meant to be a spiritual initiation into a new version of yourself. And whenever I use new, syntax is key and it's important. When I say new, that's in you. I speak of this darkness that is here to help us to germinate the seeds that we are planting. In ruminating in the mind, trying to make it work, trying to figure out a way to resolve something that's actually a disease created by the negation of the heart's voice. See, there is a language of the mind. There's also a language of the heart. There's a language of the soul, and there's a language of our spirit. To know thyself is to isolate the languages. and to know which one to seek counsel with and which one to follow. Unfortunately, many of us have existed inside of our head for so long that the body has died. The temple is empty. We're not connected. We've been forced to work 9 to 5 every day of the week. And you only get 2 days to revitalize yourself. So you're getting the weak end of this deal, but you're expected to give more than you're receiving. Isn't that a reflection of a lot of our relationships? You can't separate corporation and business from relationships because it's all based in a relationship. When we spend time only in the mind, it's a word called ruminating. What's really being conjured into that room? And is it really illuminating anything? Because when we ruminate in our mind, typically that means solving an issue. It's ruminating on the problem, thinking over and over again what I said, what I shouldn't have said, what I could have said, what I did, what I should have did, what I invested in, what I shouldn't have, what I spent that money on, what I shouldn't have. Well, why they say that to me? Well, why he say that? Well, I wonder why he looked at me that way. Well, I wonder why she acting like this. Mine. It's a disease. And the disease is based in a parasite. And this parasite has many tentacles. So when you're inside of your mind that way, you're not fully present. You're thinking about the past, hoping to fix the future, but you're giving your space away in the present to something else. Because whenever a human being who has actually more than 7 chakras, but we'll keep it with the 7 for the sake of keeping this conversation as simple as possible. We have 6 subtle bodies. We have 72,000 circuits within the body. And we have the meridian system, which controls the energy centers and the way they flow. So if we are in our mind ruminating, what energy is the circuitry within your body being used to create in your reality? If you ruminate and you think about problems often, problems in your life will never leave because you are inviting them and you are keeping them attached to you. So within what is called the morphogenic field, I recommend Rupert Sheldrake information on the morphogenic field. This can also be called the auric field or the quantum field. So within that quantum field, the thought forms formed by your thoughts that you cannot see, but you can only feel, creates a sickness. And your ability to manifest becomes ill. And I don't mean in the best way. Because y'all know we like to talk in reverse. That's what we do. Because for those of us who know gnosis, we know that most things in this world are in reverse. So that's why I say, man, that verse was sick. Man, that chick is ill. And we mean the opposite. Stick with me here. So as we are attached to the mind, where the battlefield is, everything within the body, including the hormonal system, it's creating cortisol, it's creating more stress hormone. You may be sitting still in your bed on the couch, relaxing, doing absolutely nothing physically, but within there's a battle happening inside of you, and that battle creates thought forms, which we could also call entities, and these entities have a mission. Their mission is to create and sustain that which you are thinking about. Because if you stop thinking about them, they die because they starve to death, because we are the battery. However, the defensive system of the ego says, wait, I already got a lot of issues within myself. I don't want to have more issues within myself. I don't know how to fix some of these issues within myself. So somebody else must be to blame for what's happening to me because that's more tolerable for me to accept. And we're actually trying to give ourselves love, but we're using the mind of the wounded child to do so. The wounded child that has not been integrated, that maybe we're not really aware of the wounded child's language, says, I feel like they just don't want to be around you because you're such a terrible person to be around. They just hate you. It's hatred. That's what it is. It's hatred. In actuality, the person who reads energy is saying, I see all of these thought forms attached to this person. And I'm doing work on myself right now. And there are millions of people that I really believe in my heart I'm going to touch and inspire in some way. And I have children and I have grandchildren and I have business that I'm doing. And I don't want to pollute that. So I'm going to just detach in a healthy way so that I can protect what I'm creating in this void space. So that my seeds have some chicken wire around it. Not to harm anyone, just to protect my investment. But the ego in the mind perceives that as an attack. It perceives that as some form of rejection or abandonment. And so now we're fueled by it. We're like, yeah, that's what it is. Everybody do you like that. Don't nobody really like you. People jealous of you. People so envious of you. And we like, yeah, yeah. And because the mind is a quantum computer, it's going to bring up many images, visuals, sounds, memories to support that. Don't sleep on the inner child. Enlightenment cannot be reached without the inner child. So though the inner child has been wounded and processes information in a way that's not healthy for us, by becoming our parent to our inner child, by becoming the healthy caretaker maybe we didn't have, we needed, or maybe we had and we want to learn how to give that to ourselves. Now the inner child doesn't have to look for a problem. So now you're not looking for a problem. You're not ruminating in your mind to fix a problem because you're trusting your existence has a spiritual purpose. Because if it didn't, you would not be here. And the capacity to experience these voices and emotions, but not add fuel to the fire, is called someone who has mastered themselves. This is emotional regulation, emotional stability. The reason we see so much mental illness and so much shame that holds it in the shadows so nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to be exposed. I don't want anybody to know because I'm ashamed. And it actually holds the thought forms, these entities who poop everywhere. You just shit all over yourself. And you're just constantly feeling like a victim to everything happening in your world. So now your internal world is polluted and your external world is polluted. Now the perception of the two eyes, it cannot be trusted to guide you. We got a talking dog, y'all. So if y'all hear it in the background, it's not a spiritual being interrupting this communication. Our dog talks. So as we are here, whatever you're sitting with, you co-created it in some shape, form, or fashion. And even if you don't know how, that's okay. You don't have to know how. The goal is to release what no longer serves you so that you can invite into your life energies that will support life, sustain life, When I look at the heart field around people, whether I'm doing a reading or whether I'm just out and about, one of the things that I notice is the heart appears to be collapsed. It's like a part of the heart needs to be shocked because it hasn't been used in so long. This muscle has been abandoned for so long that it no longer can transmit, it can no longer conduct the language and energy of the heart, which is ultimately of the soul. And in these situations, this feels like anxiety, rejection, shame, abandonment, oppression, depression, fear, anger, rage, panic attacks. All of these things collapse the heart. So, what's meant to be your throne, because the heart is access to the spirit realm, you cannot get there through the mind. The mind is used to navigate this 3D world, but the heart navigates the spiritual planes. And so when the heart is collapsed, the mind takes over. It's no different if you lose one of your senses. The other sense takes over. It becomes stronger. And so the heart says, I just don't have the energy to love myself. And the mind says, I got it. I know what to do. And the ego says, yeah, we're going to make sure that anybody that try to come for you in any way, we're going to make sure we deal with it. And we're going to do it beneath your level of consciousness. That way you don't have to worry about feeling bad. So you can say, well, I didn't know. It was unintentional. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to. And that does not remove the effect. So now we are living in the realm of the effect, no longer creating the cause for the effects that we desire. So you're living backwards. So now you're living in reverse. Now you think what is your heart is actually your mind and your ego operating system. You can't tell the difference between the two. To complicate this anatomy and the distortion of perception even more, we shelter ourselves within this space. So the thought forms that were created, yes, they are providing a barrier for you, but the barrier that they're providing sucks the life out of anything that comes close to you. And this is the realm of psychology where they talk about love attachment. It could be fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant. It could be an anxious, preoccupied love attachment where you're just constantly thinking about that other person. You're anxious. You don't know if they're cheating on you. Are they lying? You don't know if they still love you. What can I do to make them love me? It's just anxious. It's really the inability to trust. Fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant, same. It's the inability to trust. And so in that space, now the quantum mind, the quantum computer, it's tallying up everything that's happening in your reality to align with whatever it is you have already hypnotized yourself to believe. Because we hypnotize ourselves. As children, we were taught how to create spells in the form of spelling. We learned how to create curses in the form of writing in cursive. We learned how to weave together stories from the media and entertainment and things that we had watched. And so we take that on into ourselves, because most highly intuitive spiritual people, even though you may be wounded, we absorb what's in our atmosphere. We absorb into our gates the portals known as the eyes. We absorb into our ears. We absorb through the pores in our skin. And over time, we accept a narrative that is no longer our own. In regards to relationships, this creates an energy of a lot of blaming, where everything is somebody's fault, and you become blinded by blame. You can't even get to a resolution. Because if you're on the island of blame, the island of resolution, it's all the way on the other side. What bridge is going to carry you to the island of resolution? That's the heart. The heart is the bridge to higher consciousness. The heart is the bridge to spiritual energy. So that particular dimension, that particular plane, it's not even in your sight. You don't even know that it exists. And so you think, well, there is no solution to these problems, so I'm just going to make sure that I blame other people, because taking accountability, it hurts me inside. It hurts to be accountable because maybe I was scolded as a child. Maybe I was blamed for a lot of stuff as a child. So to protect myself, I created an ego that says, I'm going to figure out a way to blame everybody else so you don't have to feel bad. Since as a kid, you could not control what was happening in your environment, your protective mechanism, which is now maladaptive, insufficient, and ineffective, and actually causing harm, is to find someone to blame, to find someone else to take on a trip of guilt. I need to make somebody else feel bad. This is just too much for me to handle. I can't take another failure. I feel like I keep losing. Where my wins at? Well, I'm going to pretend that I win. This is the wounded inner child. I'll just pretend. I'll just play pretend. And over time, doing that becomes so unconscious that it's reflective. It's reflexive. And it's projective. And so if you inherently in the inside feel wounded, broken, wrong, and often attacked by other people, so you cannot trust others, what you see on the outside is going to match that, because it has to go through the hologram that's being created by all of these thought forms projected out of your quantum computer. And you're going to identify reasons to not trust people around you. What I'm saying to you is, if you don't have it inside of yourself, you're not going to be able to see it in anyone else. Whatever tendencies you have, and maybe you not yet have accepted them and working through them, you're going to project them out because you're trying to protect yourself. All projection is a form of protection. It's just a 3D outdated ego-based form of protection, but it is. And at one point, it worked for us. The universe was like, look, they're kids. They've been on the planet for 6 years. Let them have it. And we are so strong because we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So we orient our reality, just like the solar system. And it's oriented oftentimes around this false consciousness. So we're unaware. That's why people book readings, because they're like, I don't know what's going on. What's happening? Because you're just unaware. You blinded yourself. You hypnotized yourself. And so we are existing in a hollow, HOLLOW, graphic reality that creates hollow, HOLLOW, love. And so if your love for self is hollow and lacks depth, because depth is dark. There's nowhere where you go deeper, it does not get darker. So if you're not integrated, if you're not open, if you don't have enough resilience to see these parts of yourself, you will only identify with the parts of yourself that you created in your altars of the false self. And so this is what you will perceive in others, because it's the operating system that you're using. With the new moon energy coming in, it's helping us to upgrade our operating system. For me, the way that I was conducting business was from a space of codependency. So if I'm doing a reading, I'm also going to do a working for you. I'm going to do a meditation with you, a visualization with you. I'm going to do some mediumship with you. I may do some breath work with you, some sound healing with you, and I only charge you for a reading. My divine self came in and said, Khamsin, you are a visionary, which is why sometimes you see things far ahead of other people, but you are handling yourself as if you don't have the capacity to be a leader. Why are you giving away so much energy? And it was a hollow, graphic form of love. Because my inner child wound archetype is that of being someone who grew up with guilt. We all come here with a karmic lesson that's preloaded for our soul to experience in our lifetime. And for me, it was guilt. And if you know about human design, which is the culmination of every astrological predictor put together to create your energetic, karmic, and dharmic. So this is what you can experience on the other side of suffering when you learn how to surrender and trust spirit to lead you. This particular composite revealed also that the energy that I came to learn how to ascend from was guilt. So I attract people who also may struggle with guilt, but who may use blame as a defensive mechanism. Because for me, people pleasing was a defensive mechanism. If I give you more than you ask for, you have no reason to be displeased with me. And it don't work that way. And so I would attract partners. I would attract people, business, everything in my life reflected this. And I couldn't get away from it. If I made a lot of money, I felt guilty. If I made not enough money, I felt guilty. And so I kept trying to fix it with the mind and the physical, and I was missing the component, which was going to the spiritual. And so diving into the shadow work, learning how to embrace the void, learning how to be with and embrace the emptiness that I felt, empowered me. Embracing emptiness leads to empowerment, the triple E's. Many things come in triples. The mother made it in the chrome. The father, the mother, and the son, the crystal's consciousness, the child, the divine child energy. It's within all of us. To be transparent is to be brave. That's the most courageous thing. To be vulnerable is to be powerful. But the 3D Matrix definitely has a lot of programs that have you feeling like it means you're weak. Trust me, I know. And as we are the generation who agreed to come here to be a part of a paradigm shift, we are the merge between the old world and the new world. We are meant to be the bridge. We're meant to be the portals. All human beings are portals of something. And we're portals within portals within portals. And so as we are traveling through this part of the photon belt right now, there's a lot of energy coming to the planet. And it's kind of putting a magnifying glass on things that we refuse to see. I want to talk about the female capacity to birth a new world. Without the female, birth in a new world cannot happen. And we're going to see a lot of abuse and negligence towards the female, even violence, like never before, because it is a spiritual sickness. There is a non-physical entity that creates a stream of consciousness that seeks to kill, deprive, and weaken anyone operating within sacred feminine energy. This is beneath most people's consciousness. You don't know what you don't know. So in the patriarchy, teaching men that they are the heads and that they are the rulers of the world, it actually emasculated and incapacitated them to navigate the spiritual plane. And many of them do not appreciate, know how to honor or respect the feminine because they have not cultivated the feminine into a healthy state within themselves. Signs of this is being emotionally unstable. That's someone who has not nurtured their feminine. So they live in a state of strife, survival, struggle, emptiness. And if they cannot create in the physical world what they feel like they should, because there is a sense of entitlement that was programmed into us, the frustration and the rage, the pain and the sadness of that hijacks their nervous system, their circulatory system, their limbic system, their hormonal system. And now they become walking portals for pain, and they don't know. Many of us were in such a rush to create relationships, to get married, to have kids, to have a family, because ultimately it's that American dream. That's the height of existence. God forbid a woman don't get married by a certain age and have kids. She has committed a crime. And it's really sad because women have been dying of reproductive issues, cervical cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, breast cancer, at rates where you cannot make sense of it in the physical because it is a spiritual war. The woman has the capacity, the womb man has the capacity to navigate the unseen realm in a way that there is no language to explain. And so many males are so hurt and they have been victimized by this system so much. The only way they know how to feel power is to seek dominion in their household. So now the male and the female are at war with each other. We're not on the same team. We look like it, we say we are, but deep down inside, we're using different operating systems, and these operating systems really don't work well together. So in order for us to have peace, somebody is going to have to sacrifice something to have peace in the house so that we can appear to be on the same page. Because appearances is everything to the 3D matrix. It's all about the aesthetic. It's all about the appearance. And now you have the feminine, the female. She's trying to restructure her physical self because she's searching for a feeling that's supposed to be cultivated within. And she don't know how to find it anywhere else. She don't know how to find it any other way. So women have been forced into marriages and relationships by a system that is not a human species. Hear me when I say this. See, my message is not for everybody. And a lot of people may not like what I say nor agree, and that's okay. But I would not speak this publicly if I have not been given confirmation time and time again. Whenever the 3D matrix system is activated to create a firewall based on the virus in the mind known as Wedigo, which creates fear, what happens is when the feminine starts to tap in, if her partner isn't navigating those dimensions with her, he's going to take offense to whatever she's doing. Nothing she do or say will be anything that he want to have a part in. I'm not talking about on the surface. I'm talking about in the depths. Because this operating system creates this firewall to protect unconsciousness. Unconsciousness is being protected, because in our unconsciousness, we actually create this simulation that a lot of us disagree with now. A lot of us disagree with a lot of things that we used to agree with. This reality cannot be perpetuated without energies of souls. So as we're having this experience, your true soul, your oversoul, is somewhere sleeping. And we're going through these processes of awakening, which is one reason why I really appreciate Vedic astrology, because it tells you what level you are in your incarnations and whether or not you are still sleeping, are you awakening, or have you awakened? And though we may see awakening as a shiny prize to have, let me tell you, it is painful. It's painful. Sometimes it hurts so good, and sometimes it doesn't. But if you have a closed mind, let's go back to the mind, then likely your heart is also closed, which means you will have a confirmation bias that you use to filter all information that's coming in. And a lot of times the information that we need to seek a resolution is coming in. It's streaming in, but we're resisting it. Because if it doesn't align with what we have already invested our mind in believing, I don't want nothing to do with it. And so we'll think, I don't like this certain person, when really, no, the energies are like oil and water. And when someone is shaking you, when someone is shocking the heart, you're going to experience some form of discomfort. When my heart was failing and my pericardium was filled with fluid, this was the second near-death experience that I had. I knew they were going to have to shock me. And I was conscious, but I couldn't move. The feeling of being shocked to pull me back into my body was very uncomfortable. And so many of us have lived in our mind for so long that we haven't been in our body for a long time. And so now that you're coming back into your body, you're coming into your emotional body, you're coming into your body to experience your feelings. It's uncomfortable. And if you allow the ego to take over, the ego will say the reason you're uncomfortable is because it's evil, it's wrong, it's demonic, it's bad, it's against you. A lot of males feel like the awakening occurring inside of the feminine in their life is some type of threat to them. This is the exact same thing that the Roman Catholic Church felt. Why do you think witchcraft, quote unquote, because that's a heavy loaded word with a lot of negativity that actually is not accurate? But think about this for a moment. Someone who is in commune with nature, who understands, understands, and understands the language of plants and herbs, minerals, crystals, vitamins, the ethers, the Akashic record. They're actually the antithesis of putting people to sleep and keeping them there. Because with practitioners, there would be no pharmaceutical. With practitioners, there wouldn't be a legal system. We wouldn't need it. We wouldn't need prisons, because we're navigating the world through our spiritual eyesight. So they give us food to keep us heavy, dense, polluted. Any conversation about toxicity in a relationship must include food. Without it, it's insufficient. We can do cord cuttings. We can become aware of certain things and try to steer away from them, but most cord cuttings fail. Most soul tie meditations or whatever we have used, they fall short, because this isn't something that you can do on one level. And so what happened was the healers of the planet were demonized, burned at the stake, killed, raped, beat, and then this other non-human entity moved in and took over the mental real estate. But they can't take over the real estate of the heart, because the heart perceives through feeling, not what it sees. Everything that glitter ain't gold. We know this, right? Do y'all know this? Everything that glitters is not gold. Yeah. And so oftentimes what's happening is, Ashe Unica. So what's happening is we're actually trying to ascend within an operating system that's keeping us suppressed, which is why so many of us deal with depression. There are many levels, but up to crippling depression, where you can't even go after your dreams. It's meant to keep you from tapping into your spiritual mission. And so we become addicted to things that are doing us a disservice. Anger is addictive, and anger ain't bad or good. Nothing is bad or good. It's either benefiting you or it's not. Anger is addictive, because the hormones that's created within the body when you feel anger, sometimes for those of us who feel victimized, that's the only time we feel strong. That's the only time we feel powerful. And what I have noticed, a lot of males who have not yet tapped into their sacred masculine and sacred feminine, when they get triggered, they get very angry, and they lose complete control over their emotional awareness. And energetically, while they're in that space, I can see the portals popping open all around them with all types of seeds that are going to bring forth a harvest that's not going to be beneficial for anybody. So the goal is to keep the feminine demonized, to keep her under control under the guise of marriage licenses, which was really created to stop what's happening now. The male became the gatekeeper to keep the feminine, to keep the female from rising up again, because they already knew. If the female rise up, if the feminine realizes her power, it's over for us. And it's over. And we feel this. So if any of your soul contracts, if any of your unconscious pacts that you have created, maybe when you say things when you're angered, the anger energetically and spiritually, see, this is personal development, is powerful psychology, parapsychology, I love it all. There's a missing element within communities that I see, which is not talking about the spiritual energetic implications of these different things. And so what happens is, if you're angry about something and you say something, you're creating a pact that you're gonna have to live out. See, before we shifted into the new galactic year of 2019, which gave birth to 2020, there was more grace and more space for us to make these mistakes, right? We're kind of like being held in a playpen. And some stuff was just, it was like, okay, when the grace period is over, once they're older enough, once they have matured enough, but they're not there yet, okay. But see, those habits, those ways of thinking and dealing with things now, they reach the expiration date. So this is why a lot of people just don't feel good as themselves. They need something outside of themselves to make them feel better. And I'm just gonna say it, with love from my heart. So many men want to level up, but they will not until they are able to honor the feminine, until they are able to surrender the mind so that they can live from their hearts. What a man could once get with money from a woman cannot be attained anymore. Of course, there may be a few, but the one that he really, really, really wants, her standards are in the stratosphere because she's operating with a spiritual operating system, not a physical operating system. And so what we're seeing now, a lot of women are being unalived, not just quickly, but slowly. Monotheistic religion has did so much damage to us. Music industry done so much damage to us because it's creating spiritual contracts and pacts that must be experienced, because the only way a human being becomes a new version of themselves, you must experience that which you create. It ain't no more creating babies and running off. That karma's gonna follow you. It ain't no more creating situations, relationships, businesses, whatever it is. If it wasn't created with mindfulness from the heart, with the intention of giving for the sake of giving and not taking anything away, you will create a pact where it says everything that you do is going to be from this space, which means outside of you, everything will reflect that. So if you tend to be a taker and you require more from people than you actually give, that's what you're going to experience over and over again. And you won't know that it's happening. You won't know how to fix it because you're actually generating it with these unconscious pacts and soul contracts that need to be canceled. Y'all all right out there? Let me slow down for a moment. Let me come back. Hey, Phil. There's a lot of things I can unravel, like the doctrine of forgiveness of Christianity, mainstream media, news, fear, and anger is both addictive. It's all addictive. Because guess what? If the operating system of finding a scapegoat to take on all that you do not want to be responsible and accountable for was a system a lot of us were subconsciously programmed to believe in genetically on a cellular epigenetic level based on our ancestors who were brought into colonization and forced into certain belief systems, well, that means that we're going to experience that because we are the seed that germinated within their egg, within their sperm. So we experience that which was cultivated to create us so that we can figure out what we don't want in our life. And the addiction to blame, you're just really seeking relief from feeling guilty. The addiction to getting anger is, I really feel weak to change anything, so I got to get mad and I got to get puffed up. And what happens is we drop into that space that's a sunken place if you stay there too long. And every entity who has the assignment to torment human beings is now attached to you. So you could be eating your favorite food and it does not feel good. You could be having experiences and moments where you can create moments that are memorable, but you can't even see that a moment unfolding is something that's being blessed to you and gifted to you. And you will perceive it as the complete opposite. Ugh, hate my life. I'm sick of this. I hate that. And that the energy of anger and hatred, it sucks the life force out of our organs. And so the true roots of heart disease and liver disease and so many of these things is anger, especially with the liver. And in 2017, the human anatomy on a collective level changed. The liver became 4 times the size that I remember. Go look at it. The liver used to be an organ that was positioned below the right breast. Now the liver is an organ that goes all the way across. Why? Because these unseen forces, some of them are actually here to help us to ascend, and some of them are not. So they were just like, look, people will not be with their anger. They don't want to process it. So we're going to increase the size of the organ until they're ready to process it. Because what we fail to realize is that what we're trying to accomplish is not just something in your reality to gain material gain, to get the girl you want, the man you want, whatever it is, all of these things that we want. Because you are a microcosm of the macrocosm and you're a multidimensional being, you actually are impacting many realms at one time. And so we have to experience the effects of that too. Not just what you create here, but what are you creating in other dimensions? And so getting mad, getting angry, thinking about the past, all of these things block healing on every level. And if we're addicted to that and we don't know it, if that's the only time we feel empowered, then we're subconsciously, unconsciously always going to choose that as our source of protection. Which means people who are connected to us may become victims to our unconsciousness. They may even become the target. The religious teaching that if someone smacks you on one cheek, you should turn your face and let them smack you on the other one. I lived that. I practiced that until I was able to embody that. And you know what happened? After I had been smacked, and after people asked for my coat and I gave them my shirt too, I was looking up to the Savior who was willing to let himself die. He had the strength to change his life, but he didn't because self-sacrifice was glorified. And this is the ultimate marker of a spiritual person. And so I embodied that. See, the reason why a lot of people cannot come out of religion is because they haven't experienced the effects of it enough to do so. And I'm not saying to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because all of these moving parts have a purpose and it all matters. But for anyone attempting to ascend beyond these operating systems that create suffering, healing religious trauma must be a part of that journey, which is why I created the 3D Matrix Detox course, which will be going away soon. I'm going to keep it around for about 11 more days. So a couple of days before my birthday, that course may go away. So if you haven't and you haven't been working through your ceremonies, use this new moon energy to do so. Now, I could go on and on because I kind of did want to touch on Pastor P. I've been watching some of her content. She calls herself the goddess maker. No, the queen maker. The queen maker. I definitely feel like I've been a goddess maker, but yeah, inspirer. But the queen maker. And some of the things that she said really stuck with me. And there's a guy who I watch a lot of his lectures. I think he's from Australia, and he was on her podcast as well. And he talked about the capacity of the female and what she can do and how she can multitask and how she can just accomplish so many feats that seem next to impossible. And for many males, it actually is impossible for a male to step into our world and do what we do. We have stepped into their world and did what they do. They have not stepped into ours and do what we do. And so there is a deific significance to that. And I speak into the spiritual realm of these conversations. And I find it interesting that a lot of males have difficulty receiving love because they have been programmed to be providers. But oftentimes, if in life they aren't accomplishing what they think they should, then their provision comes with a side of resentment. And so I'm providing, I'm paying bills, I'm going to work, but there's this pain of unfulfillment that I feel. I got to find somebody to blame that for, because I can't take the blame because there's so much already on my plate. I already feel weighed down. I already feel burdened. But what is happening with women? Like, this used to be enough. All of a sudden now it's not enough. You know, I can't get sex when I want to. She won't even let me. I hear this so much, whether it's in readings or watching other people's podcasts or listening. And men are like, what is happening? I feel like I've been locked out. And as the feminine, becomes more spiritually minded, her operating system changes. And so what happens is, if the feminine being who's called to do these great spiritual things and can multitask on a multi-dimensional level and actually rebirth a new paradigm, if she's not being honored and respected, for her to allow anything to be done to her without alignment of the heart, then her energy in woundedness and pain merges with his energy in lack, woundedness, and pain, fear, rejection, and abandonment. And now all of these thought forms and entities mesh in something we call trauma enmeshment, and it has many tentacles. And in one direction, it's going to affect your daughters, and your daughters are going to go after men who only provide, and that's it. So they're going to be emotionally deprived of connection, which every woman needs to live and thrive. And so many women are not thriving. They're living in survival mode because they're not being provided for from the heart. It's from the head where the battlefield is. And so more battle-like energy is ensued and cultivated around her. And as she tries to clear her energy and clean her presence of that, more of it is just being funneled in. And so it's like, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. I'm cleaning it up, it's back now. I'm cleaning it up, it's back now. Oh, I'm angry with you, I'm resentful, you're changing. And we act like we're not supposed to change. A lot of us in relationships especially, is like this unintentional suppression of each other because there's fear of uncertainty and change. And so we suppress each other's growth, because if growth means me not being in the picture, I'm not going to let you grow. And it's not going to be conscious. It's going to be a very Agent Smith kind of energy. I won't know what's happening. It's a background operating system. And you're going to be perceived as a virus. And I'm going to put up a firewall. I'm going to avoid, but I'm going to expect. I'm going to avoid giving, but I'm going to expect. And so many men have been programmed to operate this way, that now that energy has come back to them, they don't know what to do with it. And the woman is saying, I'm not going to take that energy away from you, because I honor and respect you. I believe that you're capable of dealing with this without needing my body, without needing my energy or my heart to be your oracle and help you navigate this. And if I step out of the way, I'm actually loving you, because you get the opportunity to become that which you seek outside of you. And I don't want you to worship at my altar anymore of external validation, because I love you and I want you to be able to get it from you. You deserve to experience that, because wholeness comes from within. That's the God that we were worshiping, external validation. And so a lot of men are lost. They're unhappy in their relationships. They're unhappy in their careers. They don't know what to do, because the feminine is stepping back, saying, I'm not going to be the surrogate mother anymore. There's a period of time where maybe I am the representation of Isis, but right now, I need to be that for myself, because your unconsciousness has caused pain and wounds inside of me that you cannot feel or see, because it can only be experienced through the heart, and your heart is not online. But because you live in your head, you don't know that your heart is not online, so you don't know the pain that your body causes me. So to save you, I'm stepping back. I'm not going to allow you to enter my temple. If our hearts are not aligned, I will not allow that to happen, because it places curses on our children and our children's children. And then we create the energetic contract that is going to bring that energy right back to us. And I don't want us to have to come here to this planet on the same level of ignorance that we came in the first time and do this again. So even though it feels like I'm killing you, I'm loving you and I'm healing you by stepping back. And this brings in the archetypal representation of goddesses like Sekhmet, which brings justice, Mayat, which brings balance, Kali, which brings destruction of that which is actually destroying you. Maybe you just don't know. And there's so much fear around these energies. They're just consciousness, as if the ones that we create in ignorance and unconsciousness and pain and fear isn't worse. That's the worst energy. It's the one that you're unconscious of, the one that is the emotional assassin of everything and everyone that enters into your life. And if your unconsciousness and your ego is what's protecting you, well, at some point you're going to accumulate so much of that karma until you're not going to be able to see any other way. And this is where we are. I'm going to share an experience and a dream, and then I'm going to get off, and I'm going to tell you what to do with the new moon first. With this new moon, this is why I said take notes. With this new moon, we're being given a blank slate. It looks like a black chalkboard. Y'all remember the chalkboards back in the day? I love them chalkboards. I don't know what it was about the chalkboards, but every time I got a chance to go up there, it felt like a blessing. It was like, I get the chalk. I get to write a chalkboard. And just something so beautiful about being able to write on something and then just and wipe it away, and you could write something else. And ultimately, we're creating those new verses for us to live by. The ones based in who we are authentically, not the ones based in who we are because we're afraid to be who we really are, because people around us may not like who we really are. And if you don't like who you really are, nobody in your life is going to like who you really are. So it actually starts with you, and you become the blank slate. You become the chalkboard. And once you rewrite those operating systems and those programs, the people in your life may change. They may grow, they may evolve, they may disappear, but all of it is to serve you. So with the new moon, imagine the sky, the cosmos, as this blank chalkboard. What do you want to write? What do you want to rewrite? What do you want to erase and put in its place? Remember, when you're in a void space, the purpose is to figure out what to fill that space with. Now, there are some other steps to this. Because if you're in need of a cord cutting, if you have soul ties with people, if you have, think about this. Semen from men lodge into the brain of the women they have sex with, and it remains there for 50 years. And 50 years is the cap that they have noticed. But nobody probably has lived long enough for them to see it. It may linger longer than that. And so we know semen carries data. It actually carries more terabytes than any quantum computer on this planet right now. And this lodges into the mind, and we can see why we have so much mental illness. Listen to the word mental. Because the sea men were sickened with the inability to see the spiritual realms in the wounded, scared self. So it travels up the spine of the woman, embeds in her mind, and now she becomes mentally unstable. To release these things is to rewrite not just how you want to live life or what you want to attract, but you actually rewrite on a multi-dimensional, transgenerational level. Because time and space is an illusion, right? So by changing what's in the present, you also rewrite the past that seems to be already experienced and gone, but it's linked to the future because time is radial. Time is a spiral, just like the feminine spiral woman, curvy. This is why we love that aesthetic. Represents a spiritual symmetry, a sacred geometry. And so what's happening is a lot of us are trying to manifest and do these things, but we haven't cut these etheric cords yet. So the channels are crossed, the wires are crossed. I worked with a high priestess for a full year, 2 years, several of them, for womb healing. I have also used therapy to work through some of the psychological aspects. I have used plant medicine to work with some of the spiritual effects. And I've taught from that space of healing. I have used biofeedback resonance therapy to help with this. There's no limit that I won't go for healing, to be the best version of myself. And so in all of these modalities that I've used, and those are just a few because I also use acupuncture and reflexology to keep the circuitry in the meridians and my organs filled with life force energy. Because let me tell y'all, your girl had a lot of organ failure in her just this incarnation. So that's something that's very important for me to keep up. And so what happens, it clears the anger. It clears a lot of the stuff that blinds me. And I have a third eye routine that I use every single day to decalcify and clear my third eye. In combining these things, along with working with my altars, with my prayers and petitions, using certain minerals and elements and incense that I use to banish these energies, what I have found is that there are 13 steps and phases of truly ending a soul tie. And what that does is it restructures whatever you have inside your mind from whatever men you were sleeping with. I'm speaking to my goddesses right now. But gods, listen too. Because if you don't learn this, your entrance is going to be limited to none. Because we have been fucking this world up, coming together in physical intimacy without being aligned with our hearts. So the curse breakers became the curse sustainers. So tricky. And through these 13 steps and phases that I use, in my dreams, it often reflects the work that I've done. And so I have been taken to sacred temples in ancient Kemet and many other places around the world. I've been taken to India to a wound healing clinic. I've worked with Isis very closely, and she follows me through all of the work that I do. And I have also had, astral travel and remote viewing into my own inner microcosm. And what I have noticed is those things that were lodged in my mind, when it is being finally purged from my being, not only is my mind clearer, but I'm more able to navigate what used to be a problem in my life with my heart, which means I can rest in my feminine and trust the process. And when you can create magnetism, which is a feminine attribute, you got to be careful with what you allow into your body and into your field of consciousness, because we amplify everything that we interact with. Every human does. But womb men specifically, who have this strong magnetism to conjure a soul into a physical body, which is the definition of hell. Let's be clear. Coming here to planet Earth, it is a descension process for the purpose of ascension. And so what happens is that strong magnetism of the womb, a lot of men got addicted to it because it was drawing the pain from them. It was drawing the things in them that have not been processed. So people may say, pussy make the world go round, and it kind of does. But it's addictive as well because it's a really quick and sometimes cheap way to dump a whole lot of stuff that men don't want to deal with into the woman, and she has to deal with it later. And for men who like women seem like they so angry. What you mad for, girl? I used to hear it all the time because I walked around like this. My face was stuck like that. I can show y'all some pictures. But I was angry because energetically as an empath, I knew what was happening to me. And I didn't know what to do about it. So with that being said, during this new moon, I do want to offer the invitation for those of you all who are resonating with this message. I may not be able to work with everybody because this will be a small group and will be a sacred sisterhood where we will meet, and I'm going to share with you those 13 steps and the 13 phases of actually clearing your morphogenic field of these things that's probably trapped within the subconscious, and you just maybe don't know it's there yet. I'll tell you how to let me know if that's you in just a moment. Back to the new moon. So a couple of things. Clean up your space. Wherever you live, do the best that you can. I know sometimes a lot of us are dealing with chronic fatigue. It's something that I deal with. And I've created a lot of different herbal teas and remedies for it, which helps immensely. As you can see, I'm not tired, but it's not just that exhausts us. It's been running in the mind. You know how back in the day, a man would be like, girl, you've been running through my mind all day. That's real shit. Because if somebody is constantly thinking about you, then your psychic energy is leaving you and going to them. So that's real shit. And if you don't know how to cut the etheric cord and stop that, yes, you are drained, and you probably can do very little without feeling tired. And I hear a lot of women say, "I be tired all the time." It's not just what you're eating, but you want to think about those things too. And that I'm not gonna get into that because I already been on here much longer than I was supposed to. And my device is gonna cut off soon. But what happens is we have that psychic fatigue, and it shows up physically as well. This is a whole other reason to cut these etheric cords within 13 dimensions, which is basically what it is, using the 13 moon wisdom of the feminine. So use your energy if you can. If you got some maca root, that'll help. Get you some maca root, boil it or the powder and put it in some tea or a smoothie or something. Chlorella and spirulina help to give you a boost of energy. One of my other personal favorites is sarsaparilla. It's also an aphrodisiac, as well as many other these that I mentioned. So keep in mind, it will increase kundalini energy, the sacral chakra energy, which is great because you can fuel it into being creative and finding creative ways to solve issues in your life. Those are just a few things that you can do to help with that. But clean your space. If you got stuff that you're not using, why do you still have it? And a lot of times we still have it, not just because we're tired and maybe ain't got time, but it's like, I'm holding on to this just in case. Just in case of what? So if you've been had something for a real long time and you ain't using, get rid of it, because it holds stagnant energy and it keeps that energy around you. So you may be planting the seeds, but that stagnant energy is like a weed, and it's going to grow and suck the nourishment out of your seeds. So you want to release as much as you possibly can right now. I did a deep cleanse today, all day today. For the last couple of days, actually, I've been pacing myself. If you deal with chronic fatigue or chronic pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, anything like that, I can relate to you. Just do this in micro doses. Okay, you don't have to do a lot at one time. I wrote a blog about micro goals. Check that out on the website, newverselive.com, and use that as your instructional. I hope y'all taking notes. Okay, so the next thing, after you clean your space and clear your space and see some things, because you'll be surprised at some stuff you've been keeping, and you'll be like, no wonder I've been feeling like that. Like, okay, let me get rid of this. Old cosmetics, let it go. It will actually give you infections to use them, so let it go, throw it away. Even if you don't know how you go buy more. Because for me, some stuff I was throwing away, I did not know how I still don't know how I'm going to replace it. But I trust I'm rich because of who I am, not because of anything else. So it's okay that I don't know I'm going to replace those things. I know Spirit is going to take care of me financially. So it's like, it's okay, it's going to work out because I give so much, I plant so many seeds, and they're going to come back to harvest. So trust that. Second thing, certain stones will help you at this time. And one of those main stones is obsidian, which is made of volcanic lava. Volcano, there are goddesses within the energy of volcanoes, which is basically the blood of Mama Earth. And it purges and burns away. So if you resonate with the phoenix rising from the ashes, this is something that you can use to help with this. This is a personal favorite of mine. I meditate with this every night because as you're increasing your magnetism and your light and letting go of things that you do not need, there are energies that will be attracted to you, become attached to you. There are people who will be addicted to you, want to talk to you, be around you, eat your food, wear your clothes. I mean, we get really strange and weird sometimes, y'all, when we're not being the cultivators of our own life force, energy, and happiness. So you don't want stuff attaching to you, okay? Because I'm telling y'all the ascension mechanics of being able to rise above these things. So the black obsidian, this is on sale right now on the website. So go get you some. You see, look how shiny this is. I got potions all over my hands, so it's oily. But this will reflect, not only will it purge you, I like to put it on my third eye as well to clear that, but it will also prevent things from distorting your reality. So it's like it helps you to have clarity as well. I sleep with mines because I do a lot of astral travel while I sleep, and I'm not bringing none of that shit back with me when I come back, okay? And some of us may be beyond needing to use crystals to do this, and that's okay too. But again, this is sacred communion with what Mama Earth has given us to assist us. Why not use it? Because if it wasn't here to assist us anymore, if it wasn't someone who was in contact with spirit enough to know that lava, once it becomes hard and polished, has all of these uses and benefits, which are listed on the website in the blog section and under the purchase that you can make for this. I mean, what would be the point? And a lot of times we take things for granted. And I know, trust me, I understand. I got crystals that got dust on them. It can set so long. Pick your stuff up. Go back, even if you don't purchase this one or have this already, use what you have. You know, citrine is really good for removing negativity as well. And the third thing, make a list of things that light your heart up so that you can start slowly integrating into your day-to-day life things to help shock your heart back. You don't want to do a real big shock, because for a lot of us, our nerves are already bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, my nerves bad. Just baby step your way. Be gentle and tender. This new moon seems to provide that tender touch. So little by little, write down some things that light you up. What do you enjoy? Maybe you really enjoyed this interaction and this conversation. That's a key for you. I enjoy having interactions with people who are on a spiritual mission and in service to other people and not just themselves. Because if ego is not the intention or what's being used as the operating system, guess what? It helps your heart as well. So I'm sure some of y'all probably feel different now than you did before. So just write down whatever lights you up. Don't sleep on nothing. Music, of course, always use music. Music is the language of the soul. It is the language of the heart. So use that to lift your vibes. If that's what you need, your altars will help you to understand your altars. If you have altars that are keeping you in cycles of people pleasing, giving more than you are receiving, your relationships are going to feel like walking through concrete until you address it. So dust your altar off, clean your altar up. You know, if you don't have one, create one. You just need one of each element. And it can be small. If you live with people and they're like, that's that devil stuff. Just, it can be small. It can be a little tray. And I'm not making fun of people, because that used to be me. I still got the videos up. I haven't even taken them down, just in honor of integrity and transparency of my journey. But yes, we can respect each other and still honor our beliefs or new things that we are adding to our routine. The last thing that I would say to you, once you have done these things, pay close attention to what drains your energy, who drains your energy, where drains your energy. And again, it's not personal, it's spiritual. And once you see, make adjustments as needed. Okay. I didn't ask for no donations today. Oh my God. Okay. And if this has helped you, I would love to receive a donation as seed to what we are building moving forward. That's just, I don't know, it just don't be on my mind. But you know, we need resources to accomplish these things. And I spent a lot of money keeping information and data available for people to access, including the courses, y'all. Like, I don't know if y'all know, but it's not free to house all of this information. So go to the website and get as much information as you can. And the stuff that I'm not allowed to put there, the stuff that really break the codes of the matrix and free you, that's on Patreon. Just $1. A $1 donation give you access to over 5 years of information. All of those links are usually in the description of all of my videos and on the website. So tap in, y'all. Pay attention to what is going to be an investment for you. Pay less attention to what isn't, because you magnify whatever you give your attention to. If you don't like what's in your life, you probably will benefit from an attention diet and refrain from paying attention to the things that are toxic to you and hurting you. Pay more attention to the things that open your heart, enlighten your heart, and create safety. That's ultimately what it's about, is creating safety. Ladies, I told you I was going to tell you what to do. I didn't forget. I've been around the world, but I'm back to that point because that actually is what led to me doing this today. I did a fire ceremony for myself today, clearing, spiritual bath, like all day today. And yesterday, I've been planning up for this because before I make this announcement and give this invitation, I want you to know that if it get to be too many people, I am going to close it. So if you happen to watch this video and it's later, just email me and let me know. For those of you who have the Spaces app, you can message me directly. It comes to my phone like a text message. And oh, the Virgo in me is such a perfectionist and a workaholic, so I'm always checking those things. um, Send me a message and just let me know. Ashe, who was that? No, I'm gonna call you out. UVD TV, thank you so much. When I tell you, not only, hold on, let me say this. Thank you, may that return to you. Thank you. I'm grateful. But not only do I get shadow banned, y'all, but I'm telling y'all, like, if y'all only knew how it's been financially. And I know I've been so committed to this, even if I only touch the life of one person. I'm paying hundreds of dollars every month to keep this information available. It's not sustainable. I'm not going to keep doing it because we're talking about being in integrity. It's not fair to me for all the hard work that I invest into this. But with that being said, use it while it's there because this change is coming quickly. My birthday is on September the 24th. So I'm going to transition to the next phase of the spiritual ascension techniques that I'm teaching. And I got a lot of new data coming in, and I've written a guidebook to navigate this world and actually win. Like, I really mean win from within, to go from pessimism to a pleasure mystic. No more pessimistic, pleasure mystic. Can I create from feeling good and feeling love, right? We don't have to create from suffering no more. We don't have to create from striving and strife no more and grind and hustle. Like, that's so old earth, and that's why it feels so uncomfortable to us. So if you are a woman and you would like to work with me, it will be one-on-one. I'm going to give you a human design chart where I'm going to work out for you what your trauma is, your transgenerational trauma. It's going to make your whole family situation make sense. It will make your relationships make sense. And it will even help you to be a better parent once you understand what your archetype is in the human design. That's going to be available for you. Okay. I'm also going to give you access. You already know, even though I'm recovering codependent, I still do go above and beyond sometimes. And I still do give extras and bonuses and gifts. It's one of my love languages to give gifts and service. So, it's okay. We go work through it. But not only that, I can't even really name everything you're going to get access to here. As you can see, I have gained a lot of knowledge and experience and wisdom from this short life, just 44 years coming up. But I'm going to be sharing all of that with you. I'm not going to hold anything back. At the end of every meeting, we will have a Q&A, anything that you want to know, or, maybe just something you want to share, we're going to do that. This is kind of a step up from DGY that I did last year, because as again, I have been given some new modalities to use, and there are no words to explain how it has transformed me and my life. I'm so much more brave, so much more courageous. I do things now where I'm just like, I would have never did that. I would have never did that before because I was so scared. And yeah, I'm grateful that sacred has replaced scared. So if you're interested, just send me a message. I like when you send me messages on Spaces because I can respond to you quicker. Khamsin, I'm interested, and I'm going to say this. If you have a hard time accepting new ways of accomplishing things, if you are not open-hearted and open-minded to say anything beyond what you think you already know, I might not be a good fit, because I try to filter what I know by what someone is comfortable with receiving, and that shortchanges everybody involved, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give it to you exactly the way it is. And you can take it or leave it. It's up to you, and that's okay too. But you will have support, and you will have a sisterhood as well. And let me tell you, the people who were in my program, I don't know if any of y'all are in here now, but they'll tell y'all when I go in, I go deep, and I don't hold nothing back. I don't hold nothing back. I'm not afraid to be vulnerable, and I'm not afraid to actually put my heart out there. And so, yeah, so this is a non-judgmental space, and I'm going to walk you through the 13 steps to actually pulling yourself out of these programs that are just really stifling our ability to live the life that we actually deserve to live. And so the first step in creating the life that you deserve is knowing that you deserve it. And that does require some work. So if you are willing to do the work, if you're maybe you call this moment into your reality. Maybe you've been saying I want to work with somebody, but I don't know who. I don't limit myself at all. Anything that I find is helpful, even if there is a stigma around that information, you're still gonna get it. Because it could be 10, 15 months, years from now where you're like, that didn't resonate back then, but it does now. And it's actually something that I feel like will help me. So I don't want to hold anything back. So if you're open to that, and you're open to have this sacred sisterhood with me, I welcome you to come. And we're going to do that. We're going to meet every other week. I'm going to check in with you. And I'm sacrificing so much just to do this right now, but it's because I really do believe that the key to this paradigm shift is healing the womb space and healing the mental space so that the heart can lead. I believe that with all my heart. And destruction does not always have to be destructive. You know, destruction can be the reset, the rebirth, and the beginning. To be the phoenix, you must experience the void, and you must experience the ashes of things that used to have value to you that no longer do. And that's okay. The way that you do that, the support in doing that, is what determines the outcome, not anything else. Okay? So I'm going to make this affordable. I'm going to mark this down 80% from what it was last year, because I do realize that some of us are going through some transition in our finances, so I will be doing that. So if you're watching me and you like what Khamsin the Oracle is bringing, and all of this information is coming from the Akashic Records, it's not coming from other practitioners and what they teach, so it's definitely out the box, to say the least. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I'm getting off of here. Go ahead and get started. Don't wait. I'm telling you, you're going to thank yourself for doing it. Namaste, namaste. Oh, wait a minute. Telepathy. Don't forget, when you do this work on yourself, pay attention to the external reminders and mirrors that come into your life. This new moon is activating telepathy. I almost forgot. And the way that I was able to know this for sure was because yesterday I had an appointment with what I would say to be an expert in her field, working with autism and being able to do certain assessments. And in my interaction with her, her whole past life flashed before me, and she telepathically picked up on it. And she said, "You just saw something. What was it?" And I was just like, I don't usually do this, you know? Like, I don't want to step on any of your beliefs or anything, because I honor people's beliefs, you know? We're all individual beings. And she was like, "No, it's okay. I'm open-hearted." And that was the green light. And I told her what I saw in her past life, and she was brought to tears. And she said, "I don't know what I did to deserve you and to have this time with you." She said, "But I've been working all day, and I feel like I just woke up. I feel refreshed. I'm not tired. You erased everything that has happened in my day, and I feel renewed, like I went through a rebirth." And she was just like, "I'm so thankful that you didn't give up. And I'm so grateful that you chose to come back to your body, not once but twice. And I'm so thankful that you have taken the tribulations and turned it into triumph and found a way to be in service to others. And I cried, y'all, because I've been in a void space, you know. And the channel hasn't been doing as good as it usually does. My views have been down. I'm like, I'm not reaching enough people. I'm not making an impact, you know. And so that was, I needed her just as much as she needed me. And so with that telepathy coming online, what happens is people who already have this heart-centered consciousness within themselves will come into your reality in ways that you cannot make up. But by being open and allowing the heart to just do what it do, to shine how it shines, it will attract to you whatever it is that you need to get to the next level in your journey. So, you know, just remember the power of your heart. I know it's scary to be vulnerable and transparent, and you should be a choosy lover. But when you do open up, your life transforms. It truly does. And she's someone I look up to. And she looked up to me, and I was just like, I thought I was a mess. I thought I went off the path. People, you know, like, why can't I talk about codependency and narcissism all of a sudden? I want to hear about the aliens, and I want to hear about Bobby Hemming and ancient Kemet, and I was just following my heart. And so, yeah, I think this Blue Lotus is hitting me now because it always get me in my heart and my feelings. But I love y'all now. I can get off and sign off. Namaste, namaste.